welcome to Chris Parkin Shooting Sports. I'm here today at WMS Firearms in Wales with the Savage Impulse in 6.5 Creedmoor. Andrew and I are going to zero it quickly this morning and just have a bit of a play because we've got an hour to spare before the customers get here. So let's see how we get on with this new Savage Impulse. No pre-planning, no script. This is just real range time and first impressions of the Savage Impulse straight from the box on the range. Sorry for the wind noise. So what do you think to that then?
It's smooth, it's accurate. I like the trigger. Getting used to the manipulation of the button on the back of the bolt is just the same as any other sort of innovative design. It's something which muscle memory will gather on after a number of shots. I'm just raising this thing up so I can go for a longer shot here. We'll go for the last shot. We'll go for a headshot on the fox, metal fox, obviously.
The one right at the top of the quarry.
150 yards, yeah. I could describe that as perfect. But I'm not so immodest, so it was okay.
That's because Andrew has to not be too immodest because that's his Blaser sat next to me, which he's just been shooting. But he was quite impressed with my immediate reaction after having literally bore sighted the rifle and been about, 10 centimetres off at 100 metres. Just twiddled the scope, dialed in the correction. I'm just shooting a couple of types of Hornady ammunition, some Norma at the moment, but I've got a lot more to use here. But, Andrew and I have shot a lot of guns. Andrew's shot probably a hell of a lot more than I have. And, well, the first impression is it's a very, very usable rifle. His only question to me was, do they do the lighter barrel? And yes, there is one with a lighter barrel, because I think this is the Wild Boar one, I think it was called, or the Hog Hunter, I believe is the correct name. But just watching Andrew's arm there, just watch your arm out.
Yeah.
The cheek piece here, you've got multiple adjustment heights. So they're all supplied with it. And of course, you've also got recoil pad spacers as well. So I have to say, my first impressions are incredibly positive. And with literally just the first ammunition I grabbed out of the box, just some Hornady American Gunner, or is it American Gunner? Yes, that's what it's called. It just immediately just threw groups together on the steel targets at 100 metres, and we just shot the headshot fox at, what do you say, 150 yards that is?
Yeah.
It's about 130 some metres, isn't it?
And it was quite deliberate. I'm a bit of a traditionalist, okay? I might be wearing a Blaser hat. I'm wearing a Blaser hat because I like the Blaser cap. I like the Blaser rifles. But actually, you know what? You can shoot well with anything if you train and practice properly. I like the steel magazine feature. I like steel magazine lips. They're not likely to go anywhere. Nothing's likely to change with those. The feel of it is solid because I'm used to Kriegoffs, I'm used to Blasers, I'm used to lots of things which have a button, effectively somewhere that helps you open the bolt. It's quite instinctive for me to do that. There's no...
Now, have you got... I told you this morning at breakfast about the primary extraction function, which is a little bit similar to how a Blaser works.
Yeah.
Have you got any comments on how that's worked for you, straight off the bat, because you just had to go straight away?
I'm not what I'd call a floppy bolt operator, okay? I'm not a gun tickler.
Yeah.
I grab hold of them and I actually use them. When I pull a bolt back, it's going to smack back. So, because I've used a lot of guns with different extraction systems, with the old Mauser, Mauser 98s, if you don't whack the bolt back, you can end up with it, with it jammed.
But in terms of the primary extraction, would you agree that the plunger system on the front, on the bolt face, or on the bolt shroud, effectively here, bearing on the back of the action here, means you don't have to tear the bolt at any kind of speed because it will forcibly extract it from the chamber where the brass itself has expanded.
If I just dry fire one, so breathe in, breathe out, make the shot, watch it land, straight back, straight forward. I'm not brutalising it, but neither am I decelerating.
But my point being, when you had brass in it, when you were firing them, you didn't have any problem. There were no changes in terms of how that brass was extracted from the chamber.
They all landed around my cartridge here.
So, yeah. that was my thought. My first instinct when I see a straight pull rifle is, in essence, can it be operated slowly and quietly if required? Because everybody thinks straight pull, oh, that's great, massive magazine capacity, shot at speed, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But for the UK hunter, I think being able to take single shots slowly, cautiously and quietly is critically important. And would you agree that that action is suitable for that process?
Yes, I would. It works fine.
Well, I would agree completely on that one. So there you go. There's a little bit from Chris Parkin Shooting Sports today. Andrew Venables at WMS Firearms and myself, who work and instruct here too. Down for the weekend, actually, we're just having a bit of a play on the range today with some of our own guns. And this Savage has immediately pleased me. So keep your eyes out for it. This is the Impulse, which is the straight pull with the ball bearing locking bolt head. And I have to say, it works very well. Straight out the box, I'm very happy. Andrew's very happy.
I'm happy too.
So there we go. Bye for now. Go on then, Andrew. Say that on camera.
It's interesting in the nature of these rifles. I've been around Blasers for a long time, since the 93 came out. And one of the things about it is that the fact that you've got the bolt magazine arrangement here means you nick a couple of inches off the primary length of the rifle.
Yes, you do.
And you end up with, in this case, a 23-inch barrel on a 308 in a relatively...
Yeah, you can add to the barrel because effectively you're taking away from the primary length of the receiver. And
the barrel length on this one, is it 20?
I think it is a 20. I haven't measured it and I can't remember, to be honest, off the top of my head, but I suspect it's a 20. It might be a 22.
So overall, we've got they're very similar. I mean, you can't really compare with the moderators on. But looking at it, just looking at this bolt, I can see how this straight pull, which looks like a traditional bolt, but it's a straight pull.
It also looks like it'll handle long action.
Yeah.
Whereas this Blaser is technically a short action, isn't it? The actual bolt in this one is a short action bolt, isn't it?
No, this is a 308.
Yeah, so it's a short action. It won't handle 3006. Whereas that Savage is the same action length. I believe that is the long action. So it's very interesting to know, although the shroud area of the bolt is quite different, the actual extensive reach of them is not very dissimilar. There is perhaps a little bit more space above and to the side.
I'll just close the bolts.
Sloped Blaser, whereas the Savage...
We got the Blaser closed.
The Savage has a slightly less...
Open. We got the Blaser closed.
The Savage has a slightly more boxy bolt shape.
And we've got the Savage closed.
Yeah.
It's a slightly longer action, obviously.
But then again, if I'm right, that will take 3006, whereas this one is a short action up to 308. And if you went for the long action Blaser, yes, you would have a slightly longer bolt travel. So interesting to see them side by side and compare and contrast, because probably not quite as much as Andrew, because you can tell by the amount of mud all over his gun. This is actually the rifle he goes stalking with all the time. But it's interesting to look at them side by side to compare some of the fundamental facts involved in them. I mean, the operating system is fairly incomparable other than the external ergonomics and how they affect the shooter. But it's very interesting. And I have to say, I think Savage have done a rather good job here, because the price point, I think of those two rifles compared to each other, that Savage is probably about a third of the price of the Blaser, a quarter of the price.
It's less than half. In America, it'll be a third to a quarter. In the UK, with taxation and everything, it'll come up.
I think this Savage is running about £1,900 RRP. I would suspect that Blaser is probably 4,000, ignoring moderators, optics, bipods, etc. Ballpark. Would you say either one, given just the general ammunition we've been shooting together, had superior precision, accuracy or reliability from its bullet performance?
On a practical level,
no.
I would think not. No. On a practical level, I would think not. The fact that the Blaser comes to bits, goes back together, is still zeroed, it's kind of neat.
That is the one thing about Blasers that nobody can compete with.
They go in a small box. This Blaser, it's probably fired 10,000 rounds, something like that. I've had it a while and it gets used a lot.
That Savage wasn't brand new when I received it. It's certainly not an old gun. but it's just fine.
Well, you know, if it's been anywhere near demonstration and journalist, it's probably been quite used, Chris.
We are terrible people, aren't we? Interesting to note, though, actually, just one little comparable factor is that's the 17mm Blaser barrel, and this one's the 19mm or Imperial equivalent of the Savage. So they handle slightly differently. But I'm not going to say either one is better or worse than the other because they're very different guns at very different price points. But I have to say, Savage have done an extremely good job with that one. I really think they have.
No complaints at all. Thanks.
We were discussing on camera the difference between long and short action on the Blaser, and Andrew's just going to describe that in a little bit of detail, just so we're clarifying to everybody.
If this had the 300 Win Mag or 338 or one of the other bolt faces in, the bolt face would be here, and the bolt itself would come all the way back to here to handle this very long cartridge, 375 H&H, whatever. If you watch as I push this forwards, you'll hear a click, and you'll see that jump.
So that is now...
It only comes back.
So that is now in short action format. So as I showed and explained on camera, when I compared and contrasted the two of them, this one was displaying its short action dimensions.
Correct.
But had that been the 3006 or 300 Win Mag in place, for example, the bolt itself would have retracted further like that. So we are talking the same thing, but we just wanted to clarify that just so everybody understood how a Blaser works. It's all part of the great modularity of the Blaser system and part of what you're buying into. Because although they are very expensive, they are extremely good.
A lovely bit of kit. But we love choices, folks. And the fact that increasingly in shooting sports, we're getting more choices, different actions, it means we can actually decide what we want. We can focus on what we like. We can pick something out of the system. But can I caution you? Buying something doesn't make you any good at all. A brand name doesn't make you any good at all. Sorry, all these big companies. What makes you really good is training, followed by lots and lots and lots of practice. So whatever you buy, folks, get good training. There's plenty out there. Practice lots. Practice hard. Hunt easy, okay? Hope you enjoyed it.
And what I will say in a slightly more brief way than Andrew, as well as talking about training and the shooter themselves, I think guns have got to offer great value for money. And I don't like guns that don't offer something for what they cost. And the Savage might be considered a bit of a plain rifle, but it's 100% functional for what it's advertised to offer. Blaser as well. And I cannot state again that when you buy the Blaser, you are buying into the whole system of how Blasers work, which is in itself beautifully functional.
Okay, Chris.
Are we on point of impact?
We are on point of impact, but I suggest you aim just a couple of centimetres to the left of where you want the bullet to land because of that cheeky little 10-mile-an-hour wind up there. Okay.
White crow left side.
The white crow's having a bad day.
I'll just shoot the white crow again, it'll save you some spray paint.
Okay. Hold on a moment, just bear with me. Just bear with me, I might. Okay. That'll do nicely.
Shoots so well. I am gobsmacked by how well that shoots. I'm not really surprised because Savage have always made good barrels, but I do like Savage triggers. But I thought, you know, taking on a completely new action style can be quite a big risk for someone with such a reputation. And I have to say, going for the straight pull format, they really haven't made a mess of it, have they?
No, they haven't. It works. Dry firing.
The trigger is incredibly tactile, actually. I like the fact you can keep your head behind the scope without the bolt hitting you. I think I'm going to add one of the slightly taller cheek piece shapes.
Yep.
And I'm just going to put a couple of spacers in the stock because I measured this at 13.5 inches. I tend to think 14's about right in general. So I'm going to take this off, put a couple of spacers in. I think there's 1/2 inch spacer actually. And I'm going to add maybe the next height of cheek piece on it. But I'm really happy with that.
And all of that in a package which is extremely affordable.
Can't possibly leave these last 2 bullets here in this batch of ammunition, so I'm going to shoot the muntjac deer to the left of the fox at the top of the quarry.
Okay. Ouch.
I think we should go up and take photographs of all these targets.
Can do. Okay.
So I've just walked up the targets now after we've had a bit of a play with the rifle. It's a genuinely windy day, and it's also raining. We didn't want to get all the camera gear out. We're in a bit of a hurry. So you get a bit of wind noise on this, blah blah blah. You can see we're shooting from the building down there, which is sort of where we're looking backwards over my head, down there-ish. So the main zeroing targets, well, we didn't do anything on target, we just shot it all on steel. So we just come up now to spray. I am carrying the rifle slung on my shoulder. And we'll take some pictures and some video of the targets. And everybody goes, oh, what's the velocity and what's the group size and what's the this and what's the that and what's the other. Well, I'll give you this. You can probably hear the wind noise up here, and it's quite spacious. So who cares what they all are? Because I'm confident in this rifle. When I get home, I'll be going on the test range sort of more officially and doing the usual group sizes on paper, because I know everybody likes to see those to prove everything, and velocity testing with various different types of ammunition, 6.5 Creedmoor. I've got a selection of 120, 130, 140 grain bullets. I've got some all copper as well, so we'll give those a try too. Just walking down to the targets now. To respray the targets now. So moving out a bit further, 110 metres here. Here we are, just having a little twiddle with the scope now. This setup I was using the Hawk scope on the rifle. I had to take it apart, take the zero stop apart just to get it properly zeroed. That's a shot testing the wind. That's a group testing the wind. So I was on point of impact by now, and we've got 5 shots there. 5 impacts, 5 more impacts here on the head. Maybe a slightly larger group, but you know, these are real world shooting conditions. We shot these off a bench today, to be fair, which is super stable. But I'd have no trouble hunting this rifle off sticks. So I'm going to move on now and see the longer pictures, or the longer targets rather. Just for a bit of comparison, Andrew was just checking out his Blaser he was stalking with last week. 308 Blaser using copper ammunition. But any comment on those, Andrew? Not unhappy
the
with
rifle
them.
shoots better than I can,
Exactly
basically.
so. You can probably hear the wind blowing down. Delightful. It's fairly consistent, to be fair. So it wasn't too gusty to blow when it was out. Just to take the aim or something corrected. They were all kill shots, but some stuff precisely what just walking up through the quarry here. I just thought I'd let you enjoy some of the wind noise. If we learn anything from today's little exercise, is that professional shooters like Andrew and I, we don't really like dragging our heels with hard work rifles, especially on days where it's windy, it's raining, and it's not great to be outside. It's much easier to do these days when the rifles are working well. So that is why sometimes a rifle purely gets the opinion, quite like this, it's alright, isn't it? Just an easy life. So, Andrew and I both had a few shots on this fox. It's 130 metres. Pretty happy with all those. Again, shooting from down there.
For viewers, there's much talk about changing ammunition. Using the older Blaser, I decided to shoot at the kill zone of this fox. A little bit of wind on, but out of interest, 165 grain PPU lead. 165 grain cellular and bellot TXRG copper. 130 grain TTSX and 140 grain Nielsen. 4 different types of ammunition. 1 lead, 2 copper, 3 copper, all different weights, and they're all, if you look at the elevation, pretty much on it. We're up here in a windy sunny day. We've got at least 2 to 3 metres, 2, 3, 4 centimetres of wind knocking us about.
It easily opens that up a little bit.
But people are telling me, oh, I can't change ammunition, it's awful, this doesn't work, that doesn't work. It works, folks. That's 2 rounds of TTSX, and that's 2 rounds, astonishingly, of 180 grain S&B XRG copper ammunition.
We're also reinforcing the fact that living with a 308 makes life easy.
It just does it, doesn't it?
Damn me, bring it a creek.
Just notice one other thing today for absolute positive thing, okay? You may not know what bouncy is, but you know what bouncy is.
Yeah, it's not. To be fair, Andrew's a lot better than me. I'm not That's the little Monty I had a chest shot on. About 120 metres on that. Nothing too difficult, but a genuine hunting shot. That's just no fun to anybody, is it?
Look at it. Smack, you know.
With a 4 rounds in that one.
Yeah, elevation, somewhere in the back. Take the thumb. There's a 4 round group. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yes, real world reviews, remember, folks. Last but not least, there's the little crow. I shot the one on the left. I was sort of aiming about here just to compensate for the wind. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 shots there. Again, what can you ask from your rifle in real conditions?
Banging away off the bench, dunk, dunk, dunk.
It's a shame the weather is so horrible and we're a bit short of time.
It's a lovely day.
Well, it's a lovely day for Wales. Look out there in the distance over there. And then from the top of that hill and the middle of this hill, you can't see above 1,500 metres. Various locations and places which are sight. Wild shots have been raised. Targets, you might see a few of them, they're only little specks. It's great shooting here because you can see it splash if you ever need to. So easy.
I'm now taking the back knee route
big WMS ram. We even grouped mud splatter on here. Look at that, how cool is that?
We'll let the rain wash that off. This is actually pretty much life size of an argali. They're a really hoofing big thing.
We've shot this with a few bullets over here, haven't we?
Oh yes, that's doing well.
So we just get back to the truck now. I'll probably film the outro when I've got inside, because I didn't bother miking up today. I just chucked everything in the truck and I just came shooting because I wanted to enjoy it. Here you can see some of the recoil pad spacers and some of the additional cheek piece you can put in to add a bit of cheek piece height. So let's just put the rifle away and I'll put my camera down and I'll get back in the truck and I will drive all the way home. So there we go. It's blown a bit of a gale outside, but you know what? I wanted to enjoy shooting today, and doing these little on-the-fly reviews of rifles in the field, using them is far more enjoyable, far more spontaneous, far more honest and far more true. Because to be frank, I wouldn't do them if the rifle itself wasn't an enjoyable one to shoot. So please like, please subscribe, please comment on these videos. And thank you very much this weekend to Andrew Venables from WMS Firearms Training in Wales, where I've been shooting for the last day. I've known Andrew and I've been worked for Andrew for 11 years now, and it's been a great experience to be able to use the ranges here whenever I'm in Wales. So I would thoroughly recommend them if you want to do some serious long range shooting, and not just long range, actually learn how to handle and shoot a rifle properly, proper tuition, without just, you know, wanting to extend the range without necessarily having the skill set ingrained within you to do such a thing. So thanks very much, thanks for watching, bye for now.